Hello, this is Nicole Stanley, and it's real and it's raw. And today we're going to talk about the real raw facts having to do with adrenal glands. And adrenal glands are those two little glands that are tiny but mighty that stack right on top of your kidneys. And that's in your low back area, okay? And you can, now with Google, you can just look up online, a chart on adrenal glands, and it will show you how they stack on top of the kidneys. And then that's all part of what's called the renal system, which includes the urinary tract system. And the adrenal glands are these sweet little glands that serve us in so many ways. So what do? Well, they help us regulate our sugars. They help us regulate our salts or electrolytes. They help us with steroids and neurotransmitter functions. And they do so much work in our body. A lot of people might know the adrenal glands as the core of our fight or flight. And that's true, because there's always camps of thinking, okay? And the main camp of thinking is that there's this gland in our brain called the hypothalamus that is in control of the autonomic nervous system. And the autonomic nervous system includes the parasympathetic nervous system, which is rest, relax, and our sympathetic nervous system, which is fight, flight. But in the regenerative detoxification camp that I belong in, we disagree. We believe that the adrenal glands are actually the ones running and calling the shots on the autonomic nervous system. So we think they're pretty important. In fact, what we see is that if people have well-functioning adrenal glands, they have good metabolism, they have good sugar regulation, they have good moods, their immune systems are stronger, they also don't have all this fatigue, that crushing fatigue. So I know I was one of those people because I had undiagnosed Lyme's disease for most of my life, and so I didn't have good functioning adrenal glands, and so I had to do a lot of things to get them what I would call online, because the adrenal glands are part of the glandular system, the endocrine system, and the endocrine system, they are the master commanders of every function in our bodies. So we need every one of those glands to function optimally to actually feel vitally alive. So how do you support adrenal glands that seem to not want to get online? And how do you know? Well, the first place you'll see that is in blood pressure. So if you take blood pressure in the right and left arm, you will want to look at that top number. And that top number is going to correspond with adrenal function. Optimally, we want to see that number at 120 to 130. If it is below that, and I've seen it as low as in the 80s, that is meaning your adrenals are hypofunctioning. That means they are not functioning the way they should be. If it's over 130, then they're hyper-functioning, and that's just what it means. They're overreacting. So what I really want to talk about right now is those that are hypoacting, and that's where I was at. I was hypoacting. So I needed to do some things to get my body to remember what healthy adrenals are supposed to do. So I found some things that worked for me, and so I just thought I'd share them with you. The first thing I found was a product called Max from doTERRA. And I just took it as directed. They also have another product that I don't have to display. It's called Alpha CRS Plus. And Alpha CRS Plus is the cellular complex that really supports cellular health. And the Max really helps the mitochondria, which is the powerhouse of the cell. So having those two as a foundation was super helpful for me. I already had a pretty clean diet. I had been working on that for several years, but I need to talk about it for a little bit because diet is king. It doesn't get talked a lot about in modern medicine, which is so unfortunate because there would be a lot of things that could get solved if doctors would spend time teaching people how to actually eat well. And I'm not talking marketed fad diets, okay? I'm talking how the human body was actually chemically and physically made, and the digestive system that we actually possess, and what foods optimally nourish our cells, and that's fruits and vegetables. Bottom line, fruits and vegetables, sometimes seeds and nuts, some grains, but more than anything, fruits and vegetables, mostly fruits. So that is a whole different video, but I want you to know that the adrenal glands love vitamin C, love it. So the more vitamin C you get in your diet, the more your adrenal glands are going to feel nourished and supported and want to get back online for you and serve you. They'll be thankful. I'm going to talk to them like they're people, okay? Because they kind of act like it. They have their own little personality. So the other thing that is super important when you're trying to support adrenal function is you've got to avoid all processed sugars and foods. You aren't going to do yourself any good if you feed yourself things that are actually going to not feed and nourish your cell and put a stressor on your body, and your adrenal glands are going to have to process that, and it's just extra work you don't have to give your adrenals. So if you want to help them, stop eating white sugar and processed foods. Also avoid caffeine stimulants. So the thing is though, is you want to make sure you have things like Max and Alpha CRS Plus in place before you start pulling those foods and caffeine, and if you've been doing that, because if you don't, you're going to kind of tank, because that's what's been kind of holding your adrenals up and together and supporting them and stimulating them. So you want to make sure there's something strongly in place to take their place. That's more beneficial. The other thing I like to use is Pure Adrenal 200. And this is a professional formulas brand, which I've had really great success with. And that is actually the bovine it's the bovine adrenal glandular, bovine meaning cow. And so when you take it, you're literally telling your brain, this is what a healthy adrenal cell looks like. This is how it's supposed to function. And it will also be like carrying the adrenals like a baby until they can learn to walk again, get back online again. So that's also a great thing to use. How did I use it? Well, I have very low blood pressure. So my top number is typically 104, 106, sometimes 110, only when I go to the doctor's office, because going to doctor stresses me out, because I spent so many years in doctor's office with them never having a solution that I don't really like going. But my normal blood pressure is 104 or 106 on the top. So that is an indication that my adrenals are hypofunctioning. And so using an adrenal glandular was super helpful. You would not necessarily have to do that if you're hyperfunctioning. But that's something a detoxification specialist like myself could help you figure out. Or your doctor that understands adrenals and how important they are to function. A lot of modern medicine docs don't even give it the time of day. So you got to find doctors that actually understand how the adrenals work and know how to help them. The other two things I found super helpful for me is licorice root tincture and rhodiola tincture. And licorice root will very much support and stimulate the adrenals, and rhodiola gives you this sense of energy and vitality because it actually helps your body uptake serotonin, which is your feel-good hormone. So I like feeling good. I don't know about you, but when our adrenals are working well, we don't have anxiety. We actually feel content and at peace and in charge of our decision making, and we don't feel so chaotic, and we tend to be more balanced. But when our adrenals are hyper or hypo functioning, oh my goodness, we can be all over the place. We could be stuck on a couch and crushing fatigue, or we could be acting like Energizer Bunny and not stop until literally we burn out. So it is important to get those adrenal glands balanced. So what oils do I use? So of course I'm a big therapeutic grade essential oil gal because they've really supported me and changed my life. So I like to share how I use them. So what I did is I would take a couple squirts of the fractionated coconut oil, and then I put a drop or two of rosemary, basil, and clove therapeutic grade essential oil by doTERRA, and rub it in my hand, and then rub it over the back area where my adrenals and kidneys are. And then the rest of it, I just take some deep breaths and maybe put it over my ears. And then at night I'd also put those same oils over my feet. Now, the oil I use for perfume, I would take fractionated coconut oil and use Elevation, because this is also a very supportive oil for the adrenal glands. And so I would just rub that over my heart area, and I'd also diffuse it, and it's very uplifting. And every time I wear it, people would come and stand next to me and be like, "Oh, you smell so good." And I'd be like, "Your adrenals need support." It was like a litmus test. Like, if you really like how I smell, your adrenals need support. Okay, anyway, those are some of the things that I have done to help my adrenal glands want to serve me better. So let's review. Max, Alpha CRS Plus from doTERRA, Elevation, basil, rosemary, you see that? And clove oil from doTERRA. Professional formulas, Pure Adrenal 200, And Herb Farm is just the brand I happen to find at my natural food store. So rhodiola and licorice root, and also from doTERRA, the coconut oil. Those are some of the things I used. Are there other things? Yeah, there's all kinds of things. There's also a product called Protandim by LifeVantage Nerf 2, which I used for over a year, and it did phenomenal things for me. So that was a great adrenal support too. There's lots of them. I just want to share a few. I'm not done talking about adrenal glands because as a detoxification specialist, I really work with them all the time because they're key. They are regulating your salts, your sugars, your neurotransmitters, and your steroids. So it's super important they're working well. And my dog has some things to say about that too, if you can hear him in the background. Anyway, it's real, it's raw, and it's about adrenals today. So I hope you can take some of this information and utilize it in your own life the way that fits for you and get some benefit. All right, take care. Bye-bye.